Hello, this is Ali, welcoming you to the Enfield Talking Newspaper, edition number 2093, Dateline 20th of April 2017. The readers this week are Caroline, Ali and John, with Peter on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Jean, Lindsay and Phillip. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include Failing School Will Soon Be Outstanding and Zero Tolerance. Persistent offender faces jail if he so much as rides a bike. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First of all, a notice from the RNIB.
The RNIB has launched an innovative new service aimed at bridging the gap between those with and those without the internet. It provides information and advice about living with sight loss alongside popular magazines, whilst RNIB Connect will keep you in touch with their monthly magazine, Weekly Connect and Tech Talk podcasts. You do not need an internet connection to use this service, and it is a standard telephone number, so you may find that your calls are included. For example, BT give most customers free call of up to an hour at the weekend, but check first if in doubt. The telephone number to dial 24 hours a day is 020 3432 1488. That will be repeated later. If you do not have a hands-free telephone, you can purchase something like the BT Big Button 200 for around £20 on the high street, or order a telephone from the RNIB shop. Their helpline and shop can be reached by pressing * or *1 from this new service. One of the innovative features of this service is that it gives you complete control over playback. You can fast forward and rewind, as well as skipping tracks using your telephone keypad. And if you need to answer the door, you can hang up, and when you call back the same day, it will remember where you were last listening. That telephone number again for the information line, helpline and shop is 020 3432 1488.
Next, the sunrise and sunset times for Monday the 24th of April are sunrise at 05:45 and sunset at 20:12 hours. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now Caroline will read the first item of local news.
Zero tolerance. Persistent offender faces jail if he so much as rides a bicycle. A persistent offender is potentially facing jail for riding a bicycle in parts of the borough after a criminal behaviour order was made against him by magistrates. It was one of the conditions handed to Hassan Mohammed at Highbury Magistrates Court after Enfield Police applied for the order against the 23-year-old because of his prolific drug offending and antisocial behaviour. The condition prohibiting him from riding a bike was made after magistrates heard he had made off on his bicycle on several occasions when approached by police about his nuisance behaviour and drug use. The order was granted on Tuesday, April the 4th, after Mohammed of Solomon Avenue, Edmonton, pleaded guilty to possession of cannabis in 4 Street, Edmonton. It was the latest in a string of arrests and court appearances. Since May 2016, he had been stopped and searched 19 times by police. He had been arrested, charged and found guilty at court for possession of cannabis on several occasions, but previously received only fines. He was identified by officers as being part of a large group of men who congregate in the Upper Edmonton and Edmonton Green areas, smoking drugs and intimidating members of the public. The criminal behaviour order bans him from entering the N9 and N18 postcodes other than passing through the areas on public transport. It also prohibits him from being in possession of drugs paraphernalia and excludes him from riding his bike in those two postcodes. Should he fail to observe the order and breach any of the condition in the fixed 2-year period to which it applies, he would be committing a criminal offence and could be arrested, hauled back to court, and face a possible custodial sentence. The issuing of the order was a milestone for Enfield's police antisocial behaviour team, marking the 50th criminal behaviour order it had obtained against individuals under new legislation. And there was special praise from the police sergeant leading the team for the dedication of 2 officers. This highlights the excellent level of work by PCs Cahill and Elsmore over the last couple of years in targeting prominent offenders to safeguard the residents of Enfield, said Sergeant Alan Seth. The team works in partnership with the community safety team and together are committed to safeguard vulnerable persons and the wider community. By targeting offenders involved in gangs or youth violence, violence with injury, burglary and antisocial behaviour, we aim to reduce offences that have the biggest impact on
Failing
victims.
school will soon be outstanding. A head teacher brought in to turn a failing school around says it is now vibrant and very much part of the community. Nightingale Academy in Turin Road, Edmonton, was told it required improvement by Ofsted in June 2014. But after a second visit in December, inspectors said effective action is being taken to move the school towards good grading. But head teacher Anne Palmer has her sights set on something much higher and hopes it will one day be rated outstanding. She said, "This is quite a unique school, very vibrant and very much part of the community, but it has been a long journey to improve in terms of a fairly difficult past. In the time I have been here, we've had a number of monitoring visits which have all recognised the immediate impact of the work we are doing and the progress we are making. What it was a year ago is not what it is now. Results were historically poor, student numbers low, behaviour a concern, and relations with the community a struggle. Meanwhile, 75% of students are without English as their first language, and some enter with low literacy levels. But after appointing 3 new members of staff on the senior leadership team, a new special educational needs coordinator, a new sixth form leader, refreshed sixth form programmes, and a passionate governing body, the school has managed to turn itself around. A survey also found that 100% of Year 7 parents are happy with their choice of school and said their children are happy to be at Nightingale. Students would often wander around the corridor during lesson time, but now all are keen to attend their classes, and mobile phones are no longer visible as pupils are aware they could be confiscated. The launch of the Brilliant Club for the most able students has seen them visit Oxbridge universities for the first time. Meanwhile, while the school rarely organised school trips, the diary is now brimming with events from the London Dungeon and the National Portrait Gallery to the British Museum and go-karting. As part of the Edmonton Schools Partnership Programme, the school also recently held a healthy eating week for students and parents. The timetable was changed to a more rigorous curriculum, and the sixth form is now a success, with trends over the last 3 years showing A-level results in the top 25% of UK schools. Last summer, every Year 6 pupil in the borough, more than 2,000 children, were invited to Nightingale during a 2-week transition event, and this year saw first-choice applications leap. Miss Palmer, who has previously trained other principals, worked for the Department for Education and on government steering groups to raise achievement, said, "We don't have the beauty of time. Change has had to happen."
Our very
quickly.
own Toy Story. A treasure trove of nostalgia has opened at Enfield Museum, showcasing some of the world's best-loved and biggest-selling vintage toys that were once made in the borough. Household board games, including Scrabble and Matchbox cars, will transport visitors back to childhood at the Dugdale Centre's free exhibition in London Road, Enfield Town. The exhibition, called Terrific Toys Made and Played in Enfield, started last Thursday and is open to the public until January, with exhibits dating back to the early 1900s. The collection includes more than 500 Matchbox die-cast cars produced by Palmer's Green residents Leslie and Rodney Smith. The school friends started their business after the World War II in 1947 in the basement of what was then the Rifleman Public House in Union Row, Edmonton. Millions of Matchbox cars were manufactured under the brand Leslie Products and Company Limited. Most of the toys in the exhibition date from the 1950s to the 1990s and belong to the museum's collection. Others have been loaned by Enfield residents and toy collectors. Board game favourites on display were produced in their millions at a Brimsdown factory in Green Street by J.W. Spear & Sons from 1932 to 1994. A coach-built pram, which had once been an upmarket toy for wealthy families, is part of the collection and was sold at existing store Rodwin's in Crown Lane, Southgate, by owner Josie Royce. She still trades after opening in 1959, but diversified her products when toys became mass-produced. Josie now sells arts and crafts, haberdashery, fancy dress costumes and party accessories. She saw the writing on the wall for traditional toys and has expanded her range, said Jan Metcalf, the Dugdale's museum officer and exhibition curator. Other exhibits include a Starsky and Hutch cap gun and miniature trains produced under the brand Lone Star by Die-Cast Machine Tools Limited, who owned a Palmer's Green factory in Green Lanes during the 1940s. Panorama action transfers were popular during the 1960s to the 1980s and involved rubbing over tracing paper to print an image onto a landscaped drawing. Enfield sculptor and artist Joe Robinson, who pitched the toy exhibition idea, loaned one of his Panorama art sets from his childhood, among other items. I distinctly remember getting the set in my Christmas stocking when I was 7, and I spent the whole day playing with it, said the 50-year-old. Other toys from the Golden Age include ventriloquist dummy Archie Andrews, a Rosebud doll from the 1950s, Cindy and Barbie. We wanted the exhibition to be a real feast of nostalgia for visitors, added Jan, and I hope they will share memories of their favourite toys
Council bosses
with
who
other
rake in more than
generations.
£100,000 a year. The staggering number of council staff raking in over £100,000 a year for jobs in town halls across East London and Essex has been revealed. The Taxpayers Alliance released its annual Town Hall Rich List today, which looks at the salaries of council officers from across the country in the 2015-16 financial year. In Enfield, the Town Hall paid 12 council staff more than £100,000 and its chief executive, Rob Leake, a cool £188,955 during the 2015-16 financial year. It also paid another 3 of its staff more than £170,000 for the same period. During that period, Waltham Forest Council paid 9 employees over £100,000 and its chief executive, Martin Easom, a tidy £195,000. To put it in perspective, that's nearly £40,000 more than Prime Minister Theresa May's £150,402 yearly salary. For the same financial year, Redbridge Council also forked out more than £100,000 for 9 of its senior figures. Before a senior management reshuffle within the Redbridge Town Hall last year, its foremost senior figures raked in over £150,000. Topping Redbridge's money list for the 2015-16 financial year was the former Director of Environment and Community Services, Simon Barry, who earned a hefty £232,390. This staggering figure was a 40% increase from the £166,116 which Mr Barry took home during the 2014-15 financial year. But both Waltham Forest and Redbridge councils fall far behind Essex Council, which paid 36 of its employees more than £100,000. Outside of London, Essex Council has the highest number of employees earning over £100,000, second only to Southgate Council, with 44. However, 4 of its top earners included in the list have already left the authority. John O'Connell, Chief Executive of the Taxpayers Alliance, said, "When local residents are struggling with tax rises, taxpayers will rightly question whether paying such enormous amounts in top boss pay can be justified. The average council tax bill has gone up by more than £900 over the last 20 years, and spending has gone through the roof. Disappointingly, many local authorities are now responding to financial reality through further tax rises and reducing services rather than scaling back top pay." An Essex County Council spokesperson defended the enormous sums its town hall pays, adding, "We need leadership of the highest calibre if we're going to continue to deliver the best outcome for Essex residents. If we're to attract the best people in the country to help us deal with these challenges and stay competitive in a marketplace where we compete with the commercial sector for the best talent, we need to offer
2
an
articles
appropriate
about the
level
London
of salary."
Marathon. Nick's ready to put himself to the test. Enfield Chase Ward councillor Nick Dines is putting his best foot forward and hoping to raise thousands for a new technical college by running the London Marathon. Mr Dines has been racing through Ponders End, Edmonton and up to Tottenham Hale, building up his distance each week in preparation for the iconic 26.2 mile course. He's nervous and tired after a lot of 5 a.m. starts putting on his trainers and taking to the streets, but he's hoping to make his family proud and raise money for a cause that's close to his heart. He said, "I knew it would be hard. Obviously, it's not something you can do without training, but this has been the hardest thing I've ever done. If I've had a few late nights out with work, getting back out there has been really tough. I was never a runner. I'd go to the gym a couple of times a week, but I've never pushed myself like this." Mr Dines is running the marathon in aid of the Sir Simon Milton Foundation, a technical college that is set to open in September and states its aim is to educate the next generation of engineers and designers. Mr Dines added, "I used to work for Sir Simon, and the foundation was established to continue his vision of a society in which communities care, the young aspire, and older people thrive. The college will be in Westminster, but is for young people from across London, aged 14 to 19. I'm hoping it will provide opportunities for the young people of Enfield." Mr Dines has already reached his goal of £2,000 and hopes to raise more. The London Marathon was first run on March the 29th, 1981, and has been held in the spring of every year since. This will be the 37th annual race, with thousands of runners starting south of the River Thames in Greenwich and continuing on a route that goes past some of London's famous landmarks, including the Cutty Sark and London Eye, before finishing in front of Buckingham Palace. To sponsor Nick, go to https://www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Nick in capital letters -Dines. And Nikki's running in memory of her mum. Nikki Gowlett is limbering up to run the London Marathon in memory of her mum, who was a prolific advocate for children's rights. Nikki of Lincoln Road, Enfield, has already raised £2,700 for Childline, part of the NSPCC, and hopes to round that up to £3,000 when she completes the race. Nikki, 34, an event manager for Olympia London, said, "I'm running the marathon in loving memory of my amazing mum, who sadly passed away in April 2016. She was a volunteer counsel for Childline for nearly 10 years following her retirement and was passionate about helping children. She was honoured by Childline last year in the naming of a new annual award for the most outstanding volunteer. The Janice Gowlett Award will be awarded each year to a volunteer who demonstrates the kind of dedication and passion for Childline that my mum did." Nikki's mum Janice worked as a special needs teacher at Westlea School in Hazelbury Road, Edmonton. After she retired, she became a Childline volunteer and continued her work for children by going to speak in schools about children's rights and safeguarding issues. The money that Nikki raises will be used to support services including the NSPCC's Speak Out, Stay Safe schools service, which organises safeguarding assemblies and workshops to teach children the tools needed to keep them safe from abuse. Nikki added, "I've done a few 5k park runs, but nothing like this, so the training's been tough. I'm looking forward to it. The atmosphere will be amazing, and hopefully I'll do it in 4.5 hours. Anthony Kerslake, an SPCC fundraiser, said, "This is an iconic race that is perfect for runners wanting to challenge themselves while supporting the NSPCC. By choosing to support the NSPCC, Nikki is helping us reach even more young people, and we are very grateful. To sponsor Nikki, go to www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Nikki-Gowlett.
The boroughs of Enfield and Haringey are in the unenviable position of being ranked amongst the top 13 unhappiest places to live in the country. Figures provided by the Office of National Statistics in their annual report, Personal Wellbeing in the UK, accounts for the period between October 2015 and September 2016. Enfield lies in 11th place, sandwiched between Hackney and Islington, and according to the government report, faces ongoing challenges when dealing with youth offenders and gangs.
2 quizzed over car park shooting. Man 20 remains in critical condition. 2 suspects arrested on suspicion of attempted murder following the shooting of a 20-year-old man in Enfield have been released on bail. The victim remains in hospital in a critical condition after he was found with a gunshot wound in a car in the car park of the Travelodge Hotel close to the Lincoln Road junction with the A10 Great Cambridge Road a fortnight ago. 2 men, both aged 20, were arrested last week and questioned in connection with the shooting. They have been bailed pending further inquiries. Detectives this week renewed appeals for witnesses or anyone who has information about the shooting, which happened at about 9:45 p.m. on Wednesday, April the 5th. The Metropolitan Police's Trident Area Command, which deals with gang crime, initially investigated the shooting, but it has now been passed to detectives from the Met's Homicide and Major Crime Command. Detective Chief Inspector Andrew Packer said, "The victim of this shooting currently remains in hospital in a critical condition, and it is of paramount importance that anyone who witnessed or saw anything that night comes forward and speaks to us. The victim was in the car park of the Travelodge Hotel and was shot as he sat in his car. This is a really busy area. If you were in Lincoln Road near to Great Cambridge Road on April the 5th and remember anything, no matter how small, now is the time to say something," he added. Anyone who witnessed the incident or has any information is asked to contact the incident room on 020 8345 3865, that's 020 8345 3865, or via Twitter at METCC, the capital C's, that's at MET capital C capital C. To give information anonymously, call Crime Stoppers on 0800
Dog lovers' park flea prank goes viral. A dog-loving TV star's reactions to a prank aimed at raising flea and tick awareness could go viral. The promotional video, shot by pet health experts Frontline Plus, shows Enfield's Louis Spence surprise when set upon by a swarm of remote-control bugs whilst out walking his dogs Lola and Flo. He then got involved in pranking other unsuspecting dog walkers in Battersea Park by controlling remote creepy crawlies. Louis said, "I had the shock of my life when I saw those giant monsters coming towards me. I was more terrified than Lola. It was hilarious seeing the reactions of the public when it was my turn to surprise them. Seeing the ticks that big really made me realise how nasty they are." Frontline says people need to be aware of the dangers. You can view a video of this on YouTube. And for more information on how to combat fleas and ticks in dogs, see uk.frontline.com.
Teddy Bear Pick-Me-Up. Women's Institutes knitting for traumatised youngsters. Vulnerable children with whom police response teams come into contact while on duty will be given a hand-knitted teddy bear to help comfort them after an unsettling incident. A total of 200 trauma teddies were knitted by 3 Women's Institute groups from Enfield for the project, which was launched at Enfield Police Station in Baker Street. More than 400 hours have been put into knitting the teddies by WI members from the Clay Hill, Grange Park and Field Dames groups. Clay Hill President Lynn Brana spearheaded the project between the 3 groups after she heard about a similar scheme at a Middlesex Federation of Women's Institutes meeting last year. Members from Clay Hill, who meet one Thursday a month at Armfield Hall in Armfield Road, Enfield, started knitting the teddies and were soon joined by Grange Park and Field Dames. "It was nice to do something together," said Mrs. Brana, aged 64. "It's important to help the children in our community, and the members really enjoyed being creative. The initiative would not have been possible without help from the Women's Institute members, and the bears will be handed out by police response teams. It's not a service that the Metropolitan Police can offer, so we are extremely grateful, and I'm sure the children will be too," said Jenny Barnett, Enfield Police's Superintendent for Operations and Partnerships. "We thought it was a brilliant idea," added Carol Reeves, 72, Treasurer at Grange Park Women's Institute, who meet at Grange Park Methodist Church in Old Park Ridings. "Little children who are traumatised may not be able to talk about how they feel, but cuddling a teddy is soothing." Clay Hill members visited the children's ward at North Middlesex University Hospital in Stirling Way, Edmonton, with Enfield police officers to give out 30 hand-knitted teddies to youngsters in aid of children in need. The Teddy Bear Initiative is due to be rolled out across the borough this week.
Victor is anagram whiz. Victor Redondo, who goes to Highfield Primary School in Winchmore Hill, has reached the grand final of the Bananagrams Challenge. He will head to London's Magic Circle with the 11 other winners invited to go wild with words on April the 29th. The Highfield Primary School, Winchmore Hill pupils said,
Zebra's
"I can't
new
believe
stripes.
I actually made it."
It was smiles all round at Zebra Children's Club as youngsters tried out new sensory equipment and were given Easter eggs at a party on Saturday. The Mirror Den, designed to aid play and exploration, was donated by Enfield Chase Rotary Club, which funded and delivered the £500 worth of specialist play equipment. For many, it was their first chance to try it out. Hailed as a lifeline by parents, the Zebra Children's Club was founded 2 years ago by parent carers Harriet Piercy and her partner Jamie Ashton, who were struggling to find somewhere for their autistic son, Joshua Ashton, 10, to socialise. The club is based at Berlin Community Hall in St Martin's Close, Enfield. Mr Ashton of Merton Road, Enfield, said, "It was a lovely day. The children loved the new den and enjoyed getting their Easter eggs. And of course, we're a charity now, so there's a lot to celebrate." In January, the club was granted charity status, and it is hopeful that this will open all kinds of doors for future projects and funding streams. The club also has a ball pond, as well as facilities for music, arts and crafts. Autistic children and those with learning difficulties meet every fortnight, and there is a separate session once a fortnight for disabled adults.
Enfield Locke residents will have the chance to choose a new councillor next month following the resignation of Labour's Ozzy Uzoanya. A by-election will be held in Enfield Locke ward on Thursday, May the 18th. Mr Uzoanya quit as one of the 3 Enfield Locke councillors at the end of March. "It is with deep regret that due to family reasons I will be resigning from my position as a councillor for Enfield Locke," he said at the time. "In the 6 years I have served on the council, I have taken great pride in seeing a Labour administration work tremendously hard for all residents across the borough. I would like to thank council staff and partners for their ongoing efforts to improve Enfield as a whole. I would also like to thank the people of Enfield Locke who put their faith in electing me twice to serve." There are 63 Enfield councillors, 41 Labour members and 22 Conservatives. The last local elections were held in 2014. In order to vote, electors will need to be registered and included on the electoral register, live at an address in the ward, be aged 18 or over on polling day, and a British, EU or qualifying Commonwealth citizen. Hours of polling on May the 18th will be between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Firefighters risk blast in tackling shed blaze. Firefighters face the risk of a large butane gas cylinder exploding as they battled a blaze in a metal storage shed behind a second-hand car dealership. The fire at the back of Auto 2000 Prestige cars in Windmill Hill, Enfield, on Thursday afternoon caused traffic disruption with roads closed as a safety precaution. Daniel Alley, manager at Southgate Fire Station and Enfield and Barnet's Fire Safety Liaison Officer who attended the blaze, said that it had started after a drum in which rubbish was being burned overturned and the flames spread to the storage shed. The shed, he said, was filled with tons of rubbish. While tackling the blaze, crews fortunately spotted the cylinder among the rubbish, he said. It had become dangerously hot, having reached a temperature we estimate of about 200 degrees. When they become that hot, there is the potential for them to explode, and we quickly trained powerful jets of water on it to cool it down and prevent it from igniting. He said there'd been reports of members of the public hearing minor blasts before fire crews had arrived. He said he suspected that other butane canisters, much smaller than the one found in the shed, had exploded due to the heat. More than 20 firefighters tackled the blaze with 4 pumps attending, 2 from Enfield, 1 from Edmonton.
Rita's getting ready for a 500-mile pilgrimage in memory of relatives. The owner of a barber shop is embarking on a 500-mile pilgrimage from France to Spain next month in memory of her sister and cousin. Rita Liu-Comienne will start her journey in the southwestern French town of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port and finish in northwestern Spain at Santiago de Compostela. The 58-year-old from Gem Barbers in Baker Street, Enfield, lost her sister, Roma Mualalo, to a heart attack last year, and her cousin, Saulius, died from heart complications earlier this month. Rita, who lives in Station Road, Winchmore Hill, planned the trip last year, but it has now taken on a deeper significance since losing her 2 family members. It's a popular pilgrim route as it leads to the shrine of the Apostle St. James the Great in Santiago de Compostela. However, Rita is not religious, so it will be more of a spiritual journey. I want to find myself on the trip, she said. I lost my sister and cousin, and so this spiritual walk will be in memory of my loved ones. Rita, who will be flying out to France on Wednesday, May the 10th, has started training by walking 5 miles a day, and she will gradually be stepping up the distance before her trip. I will have a lot of time to think when I'm away, she said, and I hope to meet people from different countries on the pilgrimage. Rita, who will stay at hostels along the way, has not put a time limit on her journey. Her last expedition was an 11-mile walk on the island of Crete with her daughter, Gabia, 33, 8 years ago, which she remembers was a challenge because of the hills. I think the hardest part on this trip will be the heat and getting blisters on my feet, she added. But I'm
Drunken
very excited
driver
to be
killed teenage athletes. The parents of 2 promising teenage athletes have given harrowing and heart-rending accounts of the impact of their loss as a drunken soldier was jailed for 6 years for killing them by crashing into them while distracted by vomit in his car. Michael Casey of St Paul's Road, Tottenham, was sentenced at Winchester Crown Court for causing the deaths of Stacey Burrows, aged 16, and Lucy Piggott, 17. The 24-year-old of 4 Rifles had been out drinking with colleagues and was over the drink-drive limit when the accident happened at a pedestrian crossing near his barracks in Aldershot, Hampshire, on November the 8th. The court heard that he did not see the red light at the crossing because he was distracted by vomit left in the passenger area of the car by a colleague who had been sick during a lift home. Casey was given a 6-year jail sentence, which means he should be released on licence after 3 years. As the sentence was announced by Judge Keith Cutler, Stacey's mother, Helen Burrows, cried out from the public gallery, "I do not get my daughter back in 3 years, do I?" Reading her victim impact statement to the court, Lucy's mother, Lisa Piggott, said, "Mr. Casey has broken our precious family. We are lost without Lucy. The British Army trained soldiers to kill. Mr. Casey killed with his loaded weapon of a hot hatch car." Describing seeing her daughter's body after the accident, Mrs. Piggott said, "That image traumatises me. It will stay with me until I die. No parent should ever have to see their innocent, blameless child pointlessly killed." Speaking of her family's constant and unremitting pain, she added, "Our lives are bleak and dark without her." Stacey's father, Lee, described how he had dropped his daughter off for a training session with the Aldershot Farnham and District Athletics Club when he heard the impact of the crash that killed her. He said, "I saw Stacey lying in the road with people trying to help her. I felt I died with Stacey that night. I cried with fear and I froze with shock." Describing the impact on the family, Mr. Burrows added, "We just miss her so much, it's painful." James Newton Price, defending, said Casey's career in the army, which included a 6-month tour of Afghanistan, was now over because of the case. He added, "He wishes it to be known that he accepts full and total responsibility for what he has done and the loss and damage he has caused." Reading his client's words, he added, "I cannot even imagine the pain and suffering you are going through. I will never forgive myself for my actions." And he added,
"That's the spirit.
I am truly sorry."
4 huge copper and stainless steel stills line the brick wall of the Old Bakery Gin, a tiny distillery in Palmer's Green. But 4 months ago, this was nothing, just a derelict building in a row of former garages. The transformation happened when plumber Ian Puddick, 47, stumbled on an illicit gin distillery dating back more than a century. He found empty bottles of Mother's Ruin when he bought the disused bakery next door a couple of years ago, and then unveiled a secret. That 120 years ago, his new office was famous for selling homemade, and at the time illegal, gin. Intrigued by the discovery, he tracked down an ancient relative of the early owner and even found the ingredients, but not the amounts used, for the secret recipe that dates back to the early 18th century. Mr. Puddick, who luckily likes the spirit, began months of research on how to make the perfect drink, and Old Bakery Gin was born. He said, "There's been a lot of trial and error and a lot of late-night tasting, but I think we've got it right now." Old Bakery Gin is made using only 4 botanicals, hand-cracked juniper berries, blended with freshly cut lemon and lime peels, and one other. Presumably he'd have to kill anyone to whom he revealed his secret. Mr. Puddick, who also runs the London Boiler Company in Pym's Mews, said, "I bought this place a few years ago to use as our offices and had to remove a huge unsafe chimney. During all that and searching through old legal documents and paperwork, I discovered that the original bakery had a secret. They made and sold large quantities of illicit gin in 2 stills in the old grain store next door. I tracked down the recipe and first of all got a wholesale licence to sell to restaurant, pubs and clubs. Then, as of last Friday, which I'm over the moon about, I got a premises licence, which means I can sell to the public. People will be able to come here, label their own bottle and then give it a seal wax before taking it home. It's amazing. It's only taken 100 years for it to become legal, but what a history." Harrods, Fortnum and Mason and Selfridges share his passion and have all agreed to sell it. The original faded ghost wall sign for the bakery has been fully restored and is now the backdrop for the gin label, along with a photo of Mr. Puddick's 80-year-old father, Ron. Although he's in no rush to leave plumbing, he's been surprised by how gin making has taken over. He added, "We sell bottles at Alexandra Palace Farmers Market. That's fun, and now the distillery is up and running, we've got a lot of gin to make and bottles to fill. But as for what'll happen next, I don't know. We'll just wait and see. I've just become a father for the first time 3 weeks ago.
Cross pays tribute to refugees at church service. A cross made from the driftwood of boats used by refugees formed the centrepiece of a prayer service at a Palmer's Green church on Wednesday. The wooden cross was displayed at St Monica's Roman Catholic Church in Stonnard Road as part of an event organised by parishioners, the Enfield Refugees Welcome Group, the Multi-Faith Churches Together Alliance and Catholic Aid Agency, CAFOD. Hundreds of refugees have drowned trying to reach mainland Europe from Africa by crossing the Mediterranean in unseaworthy and overcrowded craft. The Lampedusa cross has been carved by Italian carpenter Francesco Tuccioi in memory of more than 300 refugees who drowned in 2013. It is a sign of hope for all those who have been displaced from their countries by war, said Francis Halliday, a CAFOD volunteer and member of
Mad
Enfield
Hatter's
Refugees
Arty
Welcome
Party at
Group.
Forty Hall. Youngsters were transported into the fantasy world of Alice in Wonderland at the Mad Hatter's Arty Party last Friday. Characters from the children's literary classic were brought to life at the Arts and Crafts event held in the grounds of the Jacobean Mansion at Forty Hall in Forty Hill, Enfield. The Mad Hatter's Tea Party was in full swing as youngsters created their own wonderland in a teacup from miniature props such as playing cards, flamingos, clocks and grass. They were allowed to take home the ceramic cups to use as miniature plant pots made during the 3 workshops which ran throughout the day. The Mad Hatter was joined at the party by characters including March Hare, Cheshire Cat, Alice, the Queen of Hearts, the White Rabbits and the twins Tweedledum and Tweedledee. It was good old-fashioned entertainment, said Forty Hall manager Hatis Abdullah. Even parents joined in the workshops and got involved. As well as tucking into cold drinks and biscuits, visitors played games including croquet using mallets with cartoon flamingo heads, just like the scene from the book. Youngsters also played limbo with the Mad Hatter and White Rabbit, bending their bodies so as not to touch a rope they walked underneath. Children made new friends and played together, added Ms. Abdullah. They interacted with the different characters and really enjoyed the event.
Details of what's on locally. On Wednesday, the 26th of April, between 2:30 and 4:30 in the afternoon, Broomfield Conservatory will be open at Broomfield Park. The conservatory was built in 1934, but looks older. It has been planted with a variety of exotics and is maintained by a team of volunteers from the Friends of Broomfield Park, and they open it to the public on Wednesday and Sunday afternoons.
Globe Theatre, London. As part of their Summer of Love season, the Globe Theatre has an audio-described performance of Romeo and Juliet on Sunday the 7th of May at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. A touch tour is also available. Daniel Kramer, Artistic Director of English National Opera, brings Shakespeare's timeless ritual of love and death to the Globe stage in a vibrant, volatile production. His wild and energetic take on Romeo and Juliet explodes in a modern twist on Shakespeare's classic story. Witness the grotesque glamorization of violence, the silence of death. This production contains strobe lighting. For more information on bookings, contact the box office on 020 7902 1400.
Thrive, gardening for blind or partially sighted people. Thrive has worked with visually impaired gardeners for over 30 years, and we're able to draw on a wealth of experience and tried and trusted techniques for how to garden with low vision. We offer a range of services for people who wish to garden either as a new activity or to continue to enjoy gardening after sight loss. We have information to support you to garden at home and can help to get you together with other blind and partially sighted people who are interested in gardening. For more information, telephone 0118 988
The May Day Fair will take place on Southgate Green on Monday the 1st of May from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The rodeo ride is being dusted off and entries are flooding in from little girls desperate to be the next May Queen of this year's 39th annual May Day Fair in Southgate. Christchurch Southgate in the Green holds a fair every May Day where parishioners sell homemade cakes, books, bric-a-brac and toys. The event is Southgate's largest one-day fundraising event, attracting hundreds of visitors, and is organised by the historic church with support from other community groups. There are sporting games for children, a mini ride on train, and scores of different stalls. This year, the main beneficiary charity is Haven House Children's Hospice, who will receive half of the profits made on the day. Organisers are still looking for community groups and local businesses who might wish to run a stall on the green. Art, music and drama groups can showcase their talents in the arena on the green. And there's a children's art and photographic competition. A church spokesman said, "The fair is Christchurch Southgate's biggest community event of the year, and we would be delighted to have your support to help make the event a success. This year, to mark our involvement with the Eco Church programme, we will be hoping to make the fair as sustainable as we can, with a green theme to our events and competitions. The event will take place on Monday the 1st of May on the green from 11 till 4, and the surrounding area will be closed to traffic. Last year, the £1,450 cost of closing the road, which was formerly covered by a grant from the Enfield Residents' Priority Fund, took a large chunk out of the profits raised for charity."
Lee Valley gives away free events. To mark its 50th anniversary, Lee Valley Regional Park Authority will be giving away hundreds of free tickets for people across London to enjoy different experiences at the various venues and parks. Online registration for Lee Valley Big 50 opened on Thursday, April the 13th, and features tickets to activities and events across Lee Valley Regional Park in Enfield, including whitewater rafting at Lee Valley Whitewater Centre, tickets to 6-day London at Lee Valley Velo Park, family passes to Lee Valley Park Farms, and horse riding at Lee Valley Riding Centre. People can apply for tickets to as many attractions or activities as they like by registering and entering the ballot online. If successful, they will win tickets to one of their selected activities. The closing date is 5 p.m. on Monday, May the 15th. Sean Dawson, Chief Executive at Lee Valley Regional Park Authority, said, "The creation of Lee Valley Regional Park was the trigger for the amazing transformation of the Lee Valley over the past 50 years, changing from what was often referred to as London's backyard to a world-class visitor destination. To celebrate this milestone, we are thrilled to be able to give away hundreds of free experiences across the park, allowing more and more people to enjoy sports and leisure activities in our wonderful 10,000-acre green space. Whether it's whitewater rafting, athletics, golf, horse riding, ice skating, cycling, camping, or simply exploring the countryside, Lee Valley's Big 50 has something for everyone. To find out more about the different free experiences, visit leevalleybig50.org.uk. And I need to spell that. Lee is L-E-E, Valley and Big are as they would be, 50 is in numerals. So leevalleybig50.org.uk.
Sweeney Todd performed by the Finchley and Free and Barnet Operatic Society at the Dugdale Centre from Monday the 24th of April to Saturday the 29th of April. Finchley and Free and Barnet Operatic Society invite you to attend The Tale of Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Stephen Sondheim's seminal musical thriller and homage to the classical character of Victorian penny dreadful fiction. After being banished by crooked Judge Turpin, Benjamin Barker returns to London in pursuit of vengeance under the new guise of Sweeney Todd. Encountering the eccentric Mrs. Lovett, whose meat pies are renowned as being the worst in London, the two strike a partnership, with Sweeney's newly opened barber shop taking residence above Mrs. Lovett's pie shop. From being the worst pies in London, Mrs. Lovett's pies are soon the talk of the town, with business booming. However, a dark secret clouds the story behind their newfound success as one by one Sweeney Todd is working his way through his victims with a view to finally meeting Judge Turpin. Will Sweeney get the revenge he so craves? Will he and Mrs. Lovett's gruesome business and its dark secrets be uncovered? For 1 week only, the Finchley and Free and Barnet Operatic Society brings the classic Tony Award-winning musical to life in the Dugdale Centre in Enfield. Be sure not to make it a close shave and get your ticket for what promises to be an unmissable theatre experience delivered by North London's premier theatre company. Performing at the Dugdale Centre from Monday the 24th to Saturday the 29th of April, performance times are at 7:45pm with a 2:30pm Saturday matinee. The box office number is 0208 807 6680 and ticket prices are £16 to £18 with concessions available Monday evening and Saturday matinee. Please ask the box office.
Summer has officially come early to Chicken Shed, and what a season we have in store for you. We open with our brand new studio show Refugee Boy, a beautiful, powerful and moving story based on Benjamin Zephaniah's hugely acclaimed book. The play tells of 14-year-old Alem, who is forced to flee his family and country for London in the late 1990s to escape civil war. We follow his experiences in this warm-hearted tale of hope, family and identity. The book has been adapted for the stage by Lem Sissay, who will be coming to Chicken Shed on Monday, April the 24th, for a panel forum telling how the play was created from the page to the stage. Our new summer season of shows for children starts on Friday, May the 5th, with Tales from the Shed, our much-loved, fun and really silly shows packed with colourful puppets, songs and dance. This term we are introducing Planet Play, a new magical world of sensory learning and exploration for babies and toddlers. These immersive sessions are bursting with music, song and movement, encouraging the development of communication, listening skills, which are brilliant building blocks as children are learning to read, write and communicate. We are also incredibly proud to be partnering with Amnesty International for Dreams of Freedom, an epic performance that we will be putting on at the Royal Albert Hall on June the 26th. This is the culmination of a project that has lasted over a year, gathering children's thoughts, opinions, ideas and dreams of freedom to create a musical, theatrical and visual extravaganza in a monumental performance at this iconic venue.
On Monday, the 24th of April, from 6pm to 8:30pm, have your say about changes to what treatments may be available on the NHS in Enfield. It's the Committee Room, Holbrook House, Cockfosters Road, Barnet, EN40DR. The local NHS Clinical Commissioning Group is proposing to change clinical criteria for some treatments available on the NHS, including bunions, the fitting of hearing aids and knee replacement surgery. We want to hear your views about our adherence to evidence-based medicine programme. Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, along with our North Central London colleagues, wants to secure the greatest health impact it can with its resources by adhering as closely as possible to the clinical evidence base available. There is considerable national and international evidence that many procedures offered routinely by the NHS are of limited clinical benefit to patients in some or all circumstances. As the clinical evidence base moves on, we are now undertaking a review to ensure that we are using the best and latest clinical evidence in our decision-making. Clinical leaders at the Clinical Commissioning Group, with the full support of the governing body, are leading this review. Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group will engage widely and consult formally on the proposals which emerge, while continuing to work closely with partner clinical commissioning groups in North Central London. The consultation starts Wednesday the 1st of March 2017 and closes on Friday the 31st of May 2017. You may download the consultation document on the sidebar along with the Equality Impact Assessment, and you can fill in the questionnaire online. Enfield CCG would be happy to visit patient groups during the consultation period to discuss these proposals. If you would like to request a meeting, if you would like the document in another format, or if you have any other queries, please contact communications@enfield.ccg.nhs.uk or call 020 3688 2814.
He's having a laugh. Comedian Gary Delaney doesn't much care for comics who are political and preachy. I only care about how funny they are, he says. A comic's views on politics are about as important as a butcher's on astronomy. Comedy is just supposed to be about being funny. That's it. Recognisable from appearances on TV shows including Mock the Week, he's the master of the wickedly funny one-liner, packing more than 200 jokes into his stand-up act. Currently on a UK tour with his Something About Gary show, the next audience to suffer quiplash as a result of his barrage of gags will be the one at Millfield Theatre in Silver Street, Edmonton, where he performs next Thursday evening, April the 27th. The jokes, he says, range for some clean, some rude, some dark and some silly, and all of them are delivered with the infectious charm and barely hidden delight of a cheeky schoolboy. The Midlands-born comic has appeared in and written for numerous TV and radio comedy shows, among them 8 out of 10 Cats, Russell Howard's Good News, as well as providing material for fellow stand-ups Jason Mansford, Mickey Flanagan and his wife Sarah Millican. He used to get frustrated with others who stole his jokes and put them online or retweeted them without crediting him, but now regularly posts cleverly crafted one-liners of his own on his own Twitter page. One-liners are much easier than long jokes to steal and repeat on websites, he says. It's pointless getting annoyed. Hopefully people will see a joke I've posted, retweet it, then follow me and come to see me on stage. As a flavour of what the audience at the Millfield can expect, here are a few of his rib ticklers. My girlfriend's dog died, so to cheer her up, I went out, got her an identical one. She was livid. She said, "What am I going to do with 2 dead dogs?" Good news, I'm working from home today. Bad news, I'm a fireman. Dave drowned, so at the funeral we got him a wreath in the shape of a life belt.
Letters.
Well, it's what he would
a
have wanted.
massive thank you to all the wonderful staff at North Mid. This is a letter from Dudley Willen of Cotswold Green, Enfield. Through your newspaper, could I pass on a big thank you to all the medical staff at North Middlesex University Hospital A&E department who treated my elderly mother on Good Friday evening when she was admitted by emergency ambulance after becoming ill at home and passing out and collapsing, resulting in injuring herself. A 999 call was made for emergency medical treatment. A paramedic followed by an ambulance crew attended promptly, and their medical expertise and care quickly made my mother comfortable and ready for transit to hospital. During the 6.5 hours spent in the A&E department, she was well attended and made comfortable during all the tests required for her medical analysis. She was released during the early hours of Saturday morning, and transport was quickly provided to take her home. After so much negative news coverage of the workings of the NHS, it was a pleasure to witness at first hand how hard-working and caring NHS doctors, nurses and support staff are in our hospitals.
I have 2 letters for you. Beauty title bid is the heading for this one. My name is Saffron Jade Corcoran. I am 20 years old and have been competing in beauty pageants since 2012. I have held national titles and competed in Paris and Florida, but my ultimate goal is to represent Great Britain at Miss Universe. This year I've been very fortunate to have been picked as a finalist for the Miss Universe Great Britain 2017 finals in July. The selection process is intense, as we have to fill a detailed form out online about ourselves. Then the national director picks who she wants to interview one-on-one. She travels from Wales to Scotland to several locations in England to pick her final 40 contestants. The national finals are held from July the 13th to the 15th in Cardiff and Newport, Wales. We will complete an empowerment day with Harry Singh, who is one of the world's leading motivational speakers, have a fun fitness team building day, a dinner at the headline sponsors restaurant Giovanni's, and then compete in the finals on Saturday, July the 15th. The rounds include an interview with a panel of judges, swimwear and then an evening gown round. The scores will be calculated and the 5 finalists will be called out to answer a question on stage. The winner will be chosen dependent on the scores from the question and will fly to Miss Universe this year to compete against 90 other incredible women from across the world. And during the next 3 months, I'll be raising money for Strongbones Children Charitable Trust. That's Saffron Corcoran of Enfield. And then a very short one, a little act of kindness. I'd like to thank the kind gentleman who paid for my groceries at Lidl on April the 10th, as I had left my purse at home. He would accept nothing but my thanks. So thanks once again. Name supplied, someone from Winchmore Hill.
What's changed your mind, Mr. Burrows? A letter from K. Brown of Old Park Road, Palmers Green. The report that David Burrows, Enfield Southgate MP, is no longer supporting the extension of the ultra-low emission zone as far as the North Circular, Khan rolls out clean air plans, Advertiser, April 12th, is disappointing. On January the 11th, your paper reported he was lobbying for such a move, and on January the 25th, you reported him leading a Bowes Ward public meeting, pressing for the very same extension he now opposes, to be replaced by some unspecified focus on hotspots. While some areas are undoubtedly less air polluted than others, of the almost 500,000 people in Europe who die from air pollution every year, most are caused by breathing air that is supposedly safe. Of the 30,000 UK residents dying annually from particulate pollution, almost all are due to exposure below the legal limit. If we are serious about improving health, meeting the current legal limit should just be the start. Hotspots are a diversion. Londoners are dying early and seeing major diseases of our youngest and oldest linked to toxic air en masse. Imagine if 40,000 UK citizens were dying every year, children having their lung growth stunted, and hospitals seeing heart attack and stroke victims peak due to terrorism, poisoned food, polluted water, or some other visible killer. Does anyone realistically think we would need a charity having to take the government to the Supreme Court to force them to take action? And yet with air pollution and its equivalent health consequences, we have been simply dying by political inactivity.
And cycle scheme flawed, a letter from Mr. King of Cuckoo Hall Lane. Well done to G.A. Musey on his letter replying to Enfield Labour leader Doug Taylor's statement praising Enfield Council's cycle lane scheme under the heading, "This scheme is for the benefit of everyone." That was in Enfield Independent, March the 5th. I agree with everything Mr. Musey has written because the scheme will certainly not be of benefit for everyone, and his letter lays out exactly the reasons why. The only people I can see it will benefit are the contractors carrying out the work and the workmen doing the work to the cycle lanes. And by this, I mean financial benefits in the form of contracts, wages and so on. And forget cleaner air, it will cause more congestion, hence more pollution. I will carry on using my van as normal for my plumbing business because, like many other self-employed people, I have to. And indeed, I want to use it. And I will use my car for pleasure when I want to, too. Everyone I meet is cursing the work that is happening in green lanes. Furthermore, there will still be millions of motorists passing through Enfield each year from all over the country. However, they probably won't be stopping, as there will not be many places for them to park. I often wonder about councillors behind these cycle lane schemes. Surely some of them must have cars, and for those who have, do they have their own driveways to park in? As for fitness, myself, I do lots of walking, working and swimming and going to the gym, which keeps me at 70 kilos.
And
I
now
also
we
have a
some
good
sports items
balanced
for you.
diet.
First, rugby. Heading, Sarries come from behind to seal win. Saracens staged a remarkable late fight back to snatch an unlikely 27-25 victory against Northampton in the Aviva Premiership on Sunday. Having rested a number of key players ahead of next weekend's European Champions Cup against Munster, Sarries were well below their best and appeared to be heading for a rare defeat when they trailed 25-12 with little more than 10 minutes remaining. But a try from Chris Ashton gave them renewed hope, and although Alex Lazowski missed the conversion, his fifth successful penalty afternoon brought them back to within 5 points. And Sarries' recovery was to end in triumph as, 2 minutes from time, a flowing move finished with Marcello Bosch crossing the line to level the scores. with Lazowski adding the conversion to seal a win which keeps alive their hopes of securing a home semi-final in the playoffs. Our game wasn't up to the required level for the first 60 minutes, as our set-piece wasn't dominant, said Director of Rugby Mark McCall. We had a decent bench, and we got a bit cross after we conceded a soft third try. We got up ahead of steam in the third quarter as we carried a lot harder. We knew we had to put them under pressure, as they've lost a few games of late in the final minutes, and Alex helped by having a superb second half. It was a lesson for us, as the big things have to be right, and they'll need to be, against Munster next Saturday if we are to win there. Saturday's European Champions Cup clash against Munster takes place in Dublin and kicks off at 3:15 p.m.
Cockfosters make sure of third place. Manager Dean Barker expressed his delight after his Cockfosters players secured a top 3 finish in the Spartan Premier Division for the first time in the club's history. Cockfosters endured a minor slump last month, which saw them suffer 3 successive defeats, but they've recovered from this in fine style, and Saturday saw them grind out a 2-1 win at Hadley, courtesy of goals from Ben Hart and Jay Rolfe. And this result, coupled with Wembley's defeat at the hands of Edgware Town, ensured that they can finish no lower than third, with second place still a distinct possibility, as they found themselves 5 points adrift of Hertford Town prior to playing their game in hand against Edgware last night. It was a really good performance, and we thoroughly deserved the win, Barker said. Top 3 finish is a great achievement, and it's the highest the club has ever been in their 96-year history. We've been one of the top teams all year, and I don't think anyone can say we don't deserve to be this high. We've beaten London Colney, who've been confirmed as champions, and we've done the double over Hertford. We've smashed every club record going, and that's a great credit to all the players and the staff. From our point of view, we just want to finish strongly. We're not expecting Hertford to slip up in their last 2 matches, but if they do, we want to be in a position where we can take advantage of it. Cockfosters go to basement side FC Broxbourne Borough on Saturday at 3 p.m.
Youth enjoy county rugby. Ignatian's youngsters represent Middlesex against Buckinghamshire. An Enfield Ignatians quintet enjoyed representative honours in youth county rugby in the under-17 division. Finlay Mackay, Ewan Rennie, Fraser Briers and Angelo Deneen all donned the blue and white of Middlesex in the 80-21 loss against Buckinghamshire at Amersham and Chiltern Rugby Club on Friday. The quartet all gained first-half experience and made an impressive mark. However, Deneen could not complete the opening period as he was sidelined with an ankle injury. Elsewhere, Ignatians under-15s flanker Fiadlim Ginty enjoyed his second cap for Middlesex in another 39-15 defeat against Buckinghamshire. Fiadlim was introduced in the third quarter and he had a busy presence at the breakdown. Bucks had a rip-roaring start which saw them ease into a 27-10 lead during the first 20-minute period. Ginty said, "Despite the defeat, I enjoyed the experience. It's my second game for Middlesex as I was involved in the clash against a US touring side from Las Vegas. It's a great way of taking the next step on the rugby ladder."
And now to football again. Town on the rise. Enfield Town are on the brink of securing a place in the Ryman Premier Division playoffs following a fantastic Easter weekend for the club. Bradley Quinton's informed side eased to a 3-1 victory at home to relegation-haunted Folkestone Invicta on Saturday and followed this up with a hugely impressive 3-0 triumph, their 7th league win in a row, at Harlow Town on Monday. And, with other results going massively in their favour, Town now find themselves 4th in the table and need just a point at home to Leiston, who are 3 points behind them with a superior goal difference, on Saturday to seal their place in the playoffs. Town will make the playoffs even if they lose if Wingate and Finchley are beaten by Dulwich Hamlet, while victory for Bradley Quinton's men would see them climb up to 3rd and secure a home tie in the playoffs if Dulwich are beaten. The clash against Folkestone saw Town take control from the start, and they broke the deadlock within 4 minutes as Billy Crook's corner was headed home by Mark Kirby. Durnell Winter fired against the post before the hosts doubled their advantage on 24 minutes when Harry Ottaway scored at the second attempt after his initial shot was saved by the visiting keeper Tim Roberts. Town keeper Nathan MacDonald made one fine save to thwart Jordan Wright shortly before the interval, but the hosts pulled further clear within 2 minutes of the restart, Winter latching onto Ottaway's flick and drilling low into the net from 20 yards out. Joe Taylor capitalised on a slip from Kirby to pull one back on 66 minutes, but although Folkestone had a goal disallowed for a foul on MacDonald soon after, the visitors never really looked like mounting a comeback as Town comfortably held on. Monday's match saw Town produce an even more impressive performance to power past a Harlow side who still had a very outside chance of making the playoffs themselves prior to the kick-off. A tense first half saw few chances, with Ricky Gabriel coming closest to opening the scoring for the visitors with a header which hit the outside of the post. But Town did strike on 53 minutes when Carl Oliyede burst down the right and produced a low cross which Craig Pope could only turn into his own net under severe pressure from Ottaway. The crucial second goal arrived 15 minutes from time as Ottaway smashed the ball home after a Kirby header had been saved by Harlow keeper David Hughes. And Oliyede set the seal on a terrific afternoon for Town by adding a third deep into stoppage time. Enfield Town under-18s host Luton Town Cedars in the second leg of the Champion of Champions playoff on Wednesday next week at 7:45 p.m. The first leg was drawn 2-2.
And finally, a sports aid initiative which is providing backing to a Lee Valley cyclist. Talented teen targets Tour de France dream. Enfield cyclist Louis Billiard believes he's well on the way to realising his Tour de France dream after being named as part of a prestigious sporting partnership. Picked out as a potential star of the future, 15-year-old Billiard is one of the 50 athletes chosen to receive financial assistance and mentoring from the Royal Bank of Canada in partnership with SportsAid. The accolade comes after a raft of impressive performances in 2016, including finishing second in the under-16 category at the Tarmac Tour of Hertfordshire in September. And Highland School pupil Billiard believes the help from RBC can help him achieve his goals. It helps with equipment and travel. My dad was a really keen cyclist, and I used to wait by the window when he went on rides before I got my first bike 6 years ago, said Billiard, who's a member of Lee Valley Youth Cycling Club. I wasn't too keen on it at first, but a couple of years ago I started to race and got decent results which motivated me to carry on and continue. It's taken a lot of training to get me where I am, and it's quite motivational to say I've done this quickly. It shows what I can do in a couple of years, and hopefully I can do more. I went to the school games last September and I got seventh in the road race. We've reached the end
of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Caroline, Ali, John, and with Peter on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label on your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.